I'm going to call to order the meeting of the WPCA for Monday, June 6, 2016. Do we have everything on?
Yes.
Okay. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Present are Mayor Marion Galbraith, Deputy Mayor Keith Hedrick, Councilors Angela Bento, Jill Rusk, Stephen Sheffield, Conrad Keith, Lawrence Garrish, Finance Director Deborah Patrick.
Excuse me. We can't close that door because it's not executive session.
Deborah Patrick. It might be better if you want to close that one for that one.
Okay. Ken? Yes. You can close that one. We'll leave this one open.
As long as you leave one of those open, that's fine.
Okay. I'm sorry, Deb. We called over you.
That's okay.
Okay. May we have a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of May 2nd, 2016?
So moved.
Second.
Are there any additions or corrections? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining. We have the review of the management report dated June 6, 2016. Ron or Rick, is there anything that you wish to bring to our attention?
Just a couple items on item 3, the division system. So those systems have been installed in actually 4 pump stations. So it would be Twin Hills, Plant Street, Colonial Manor, and East Slope. The electrical installation is by Groton Utilities electricians. And what we're doing now this week with testing them, that following that, we'll be putting them into service one at a time. And the other thing, just to say, is the nitrogen numbers now are coming down. You can see they're right about at the limit where we want to be. And we expect that going forward that we at that limit, unless we get some unusual rainfall, which drives some up. But things are working a lot better in the plan now. And that was related prior to that to the construction activities.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any questions for Rick or Ron? Seeing none, we have no old business, we have no new business, so we can take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. We'll move on to our meeting of the mayor and council for Monday, June 6, 2016. So I will call the meeting to order for the mayor and council. And would the clerk please call the roll?
Present are Mayor Marion Galbraith, Deputy Mayor Keith Hedrick, Councilors Angela Bento, Jill Rusk, Stephen Sheffield, Conrad Heath, Lawrence Garrish, Finance Director Ron Newhouse, Clerk Deborah Patrick.
Please stand to salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Are there any recognitions, awards, or memorials? Yes.
I just have one memorial globally for Muhammad Ali. I just wanted to mention that a great man, even greater outside the ring than he was inside. A great global ambassador and humanitarian, and he'll be greatly missed by all of us.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes.
I just wanted to recognize the wife of a former police sergeant, Richard Schmiel. She just recently passed away, and a bunch of us policemen attended the services, and she passed at a very young age.
Thank you very much. Receipt of citizens' petitions and comments. Just make sure the mic is on, and please state your name and address.
J. Dempsey, 22 South Prospect Street, Groton City. I just want to hand to you what I said at the Freeman's meeting. The Groton Utilities provides $720,000 of IT support to the city of Groton, and that is not found in the city budget anywhere. And I'm going to give this to Deb. I want the councilors to know that. I found out some interesting things today. I sent a note to let's see, this one's for, this was to Joe Sastry. I want to dispel the myth that we can't combine dispatch and jail. Joe, is it true that all 911 calls go to the town of Groton first? Joe's response, that is correct. All 911 calls come to our center. I'm going to jump through this. If the call is fire or emergency medical related, we take the information from the caller and then dispatch city fire, city police, ambulance, paramedics as needed. If the call is strictly for the police, say a fight in progress and no injuries, we transfer the call to city PD and they send their officers. Would it be more efficient, quicker, and safer if we're able to dispatch the Groton city officers to the call ourselves? Sure, just like we do with the town police department and Groton Long Point. I'm going to give that to you guys. Sent an email to Mark Olfinger today. I just want you guys to know, I got these responses within 2 hours. I want to thank Mark and Joe and Louis Fazaro Jr., the chief of police. I asked Mark, how many prisoners have we taken from Ledyard in the 4 months that we've been taking their prisoners? All told, it's been 44 processed, of which 42 were held in cells. Mark says, there have been no issues to date with Ledyard prisoners. We began allowing Ledyard PD to process and hold prisoners at our police department in February 2016. The numbers are below, which I just gave you. I went a step further and happened to know the guy up in Ledyard. Mark Bancroft wrote, I said, hope you're doing well. Has it been a burden for the police to bring prisoners to Groton while you're building your new facility? Any problems or issues? Mark Bancroft, assistant to the mayor, says, Jay, all is well. I've been doing well. We have had exceptional experiences with sending our prisoners to Groton. The trip is shorter and the check-through process is easier than the state police. We are very pleased, but still can't wait for our facility to be completed. I'm going to give that to you guys, and I think in 2 hours' time I dispelled the myth that we need our own jail and our dispatch.
Thank you very much. Is there any response to citizens' petitions? I'm sorry, are there any further citizens' petitions or comments? I should have said that first.
David Rose, 75 Baker Avenue. I just want to thank the mayor and council for all their hard work in getting this budget together and keeping it low so that we can remain here as taxpayers. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further citizens' petitions or comments? Seeing none, is there any response to citizens' petitions or comments? Councilor Garrish.
I think that the last speaker has left, but I don't really know what he was talking about, what he said was relevant to the city of Groton. Left me very confused.
Okay. Yeah, did you?
No.
Okay. We'll move to approval of minutes. May we have a motion to approve the minutes of the May 16, 2016 mayor and council meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Are there any additions or corrections? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining. May we have a motion to approve the minutes of the May 23, 2016 committee of the whole meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Are there any additions or corrections? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining. Communications and reports. Councilor Ilvento.
Thank you, Mayor. Just one thing. I did want to mention STEPS, which is an organization in southeastern Connecticut, really, Groton, New London, and is putting on a fashion and talent show. The council has been invited to that, along with other elected representatives in our community. And that talent show will take place on June 11th at 3 o'clock in New London. This is very important. The program has been very good for kids. It's offered free of charge at Westside, at Fitch High School, and in New London as well. And I hope that people, the public in general, if they have some time to go out and support that, It's, again, on June 11th at 3 o'clock, and I think you can go online to get more information on the location. But we all got that, so I thought it was important to share because it's a good organization that is doing a lot of good for kids. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilor Rusk.
On May 31st, I was able to attend the Planning and Zoning meeting to discuss the proposed changes on land use. I highly recommend everybody go online, take a look at the changes that they're proposing. They're asking for public review and comment during the summer, so if you have a moment, it's right on the front of the webpage now, really easy to find. And on June 1st, I attended the EDC meeting, which they're continuing to work on working with the City's Economic Development Commission and surveying people and how coming into the city has been and how changes can be made.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry, it's Councilor Sheffield.
Thank you, Mayor. On I believe June 2nd, I attended the Groton Public School mentoring recognition program on behalf of the city, and I was very glad to attend. Superintendent Grainer also was there and spoke, and it was very nice recognition of all our mentors throughout the Groton area, so it was very good.
Thank you. Councilor Heed.
Nothing to report.
Thank you very much. Councilor Garish.
No report.
Deputy Mayor Hedrick.
Thank you. On the 18th of May, I attended the RTM meeting where they discussed our budget and set our final budget. On the 30th of May, I attended the Sylvester Memorial Day ceremony here. And on the 31st, I also attended a Planning and Zoning informational meeting. And I agree with Councilor Russ that if you to go to the website, look at the comments, look at the changes that they have, and get your recommendations back to the planning department. And on June the 2nd, I had the opportunity to present the state of Groton to the Southeastern Connecticut Chamber of Commerce, and that was a lot of fun. So
Thank you very
for
much.
that opportunity.
I have a couple of things that I just want to highlight with you. First of all, I wanted to let you know that we have in the highway arbitration with the town, the cases have been made. All the presentations have been presented. We need to get our briefs in, and then it will be sometime after that, hopefully within a few short weeks, that we should be able to get a response on what will happen with that highway arbitration. So I just wanted you to know where we are in that. We do not have a resolution yet. I also wanted to touch base with you about a request from the Mother Bailey Ad Hoc Committee, and for you to give me some sense of how you wish me to proceed. So they have asked that we remove all of the sheetrock in the house to be able to look at all of the beams and internal construction. That's a lot easier said than done, because if we remove it all, we're going to have to put it back on. There's going to be some construction costs there. It's not like we can necessarily wait until all construction or all structural work on the entire house is finished before we could put it back on. I would suspect that we'd have to get that sheetrock back up before winter, because in some cases there's the outside clapboard is not tight enough that it wouldn't allow things, even vermin type things, to get in. So I want to know whether you want me at this point to proceed on getting a cost on what those construction things would be, because even that means, you know, having to talk to the CME and get a cost for what they would do to have to come in and do an assessment. You remember that last time that cost some money. So I wanted to know how you want me to proceed. Certainly getting the assessment would cost under the $10,000 that I'd have to come back to you, but it is an expenditure, and I would then have to come back to you if the estimated cost of construction was to come over $10,000. So just before I spend a lot of money finding out costs, even finding costs costs money, I just wanted to get a sense of direction from you.
So I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, yes, I would think we would want to get that assessment done as soon as possible. And,
Well, so this is okay. I just want to make clear that what they're asking is what I'd be looking into is the construction costs for having all the sheetrock removed in the house and then put back up. It would all have to come back down again if we got to a point where we were going to do the construction.
The point, I'm sorry, the point of doing this, can you repeat again, is just to see the situation underneath?
Yes, there are
Just
some
to make a
people
better
on the committee who feel that they need to see what's underneath there before they can make a recommendation on what the city should do with the house.
I'm not a construction engineer, but can it be done in small sections so that everything doesn't have to come down?
From what I understand speaking to the chair of the committee, there were people on the committee who felt that they couldn't make a recommendation on what the disposal of the property or disposition of the property should be without knowing without being able to see, and they didn't ask for an assessment, they wanted to see what was underneath the sheetrock. My concern is that if we take off the sheetrock, we have to put back on the sheetrock, and there may be some some considerations that we'd have because it's an old building. And I would want CME to come in and give us advice on doing that, taking it down and back. So it would be, before I went down that road of spending that money, when we don't even have a cost yet for the work that we consider doing, I wanted to talk to you and see if that's what you wanted to do.
While I respect the committee's request, the whole purpose of this was for us to make a decision and not spend any money in the meantime, so it seems kind of counterproductive. We're gonna end up having to do work on a building that we don't have a decision on what we're gonna do, and that's kind of been my point all along. I don't want to spend any more money than we spent already without knowing what the direction is. Because if whatever it is, whether you take a section or you take it all down, something that's gonna cost money. So that kind of makes me feel like we're veering off in a different direction than at least I had hoped.
I'm just going to ask Barbara Goodrich. Barbara, were you at the meeting where this was discussed?
I was at the meeting where it was discussed. I did not know it had gone this far, so clearly there's been further discussion.
It came to me as a recommendation that was moved and made by the committee.
And maybe I was not at that meeting.
Okay. So I, from my understanding, and I hate to speak for the committee because
And I wasn't there at that meeting. That's the one I missed because my boss scheduled a meeting over top of
I
that.
think the idea is that they're concerned that there's more structural concerns than what we've had, what we've mentioned so far, and they wanted to look. I'm sorry, Councilor Garrish.
Is it the opinion of the entire committee that we do this? And if we don't do it, where does the committee go from here?
Well, I had a meeting with the chair of the committee. It was sent to me as a recommendation from the committee. And so I had a discussion with her on other things that could be done in the meantime. For instance, I believe they're having somebody from the Connecticut Preservation or Connecticut Historical Society.
Society of Preservation.
To come down and talk about what has happened with other buildings, how they, whether there is a market out there, so to speak, for people to take over old buildings and fix them up, whether that's done usually by individuals, through grants, through organizations. So there is other work that they can do in the meantime.
Okay.
Councilor Sheffield.
Is there a consensus from the group? Do they really want to keep the Mother Bailey house? And I think
They have not, as far as I
that's
know,
what
there's been nothing done in that regard, no.
Because that's what I would like to kind of find out, if they desire to keep the Mother Bailey, for us to maintain it, then I could see putting the additional money if they indeed want to hang on to it.
Again, Barbara knows more than I do, but it's not my understanding from speaking to the chair that they are anywhere near making that decision.
Because until that decision, of course, desire to keep it, then make the investment. If the desire is not to keep it, then okay, how far do we go to put it together to have it salvageable for sale? if that's going to come down to that.
Yeah, I understand. I can only relay the information I have. If you want, I can ask the chair of the committee to come to our committee of the whole, but that's not for another 3-4 weeks. But I can do that. I'm sorry, Deputy Mayor Hedrick.
Thank you.
Or you could ask at the next meeting.
Well, I could.
Which is Monday.
Okay, it is Monday. You're right, I'll ask that. The concern that I have is we want to take it down, then put it back up, and then maybe take it down again. Having owned an old home, I don't know if this is just sheet rock or if it's lath and plaster too, but in the process of taking some of that down, it's going to fall apart on you. And instead of taking it down, putting it back up, taking it back down again, and you're concerned about the airflow, I was wondering if maybe once it's removed, they could come in, and I did this on the house over splasher we owned, is go buy 20 mil PVC and just bring the PVC on the inside, staple that in, and that's a very low cost barrier. It ends up being a vapor barrier for you.
That could be an option, and what I would want to do, though, to find out how best to handle this, I mean, this is my idea, is that there's going to have to be something inside. You can't just leave it open like that all the time.
Right.
But my feeling is that I would not want to make that assessment. I would want somebody like CME to come in and make that assessment, and that's going to cost money to have them come in and give us a report on what we should do with that. So before I go expending, I just want to make sure that this is where you want me to go, or if you want me to wait on that.
I don't know if they fully thought out the cost. I mean, taking it off, putting it back on, taking it back off again, almost seems frivolous, because I understand you got to do it.
They did
because
not
of the
ask
winter.
us to put anything back up.
Okay.
That's my concern, that you can't just take out the internal
Right.
walls
That's true.
and
That's right.
not have something
Because there are holes.
inside,
Absolutely.
that something's gonna have to be done, that you can't just take off all your inside walls
Right.
and then
Leave it there.
leave it there.
And there are consequences to our actions, and you can't just leave it open. You're right.
Yes.
Well, and I think the other problem is we learned with that house, when you do one little thing, you then discover 15 other things that you didn't even know were there. So that becomes a concern
Well,
too.
that's just home ownership.
Well, yeah.
Well,
But the problem with that too is
we own
if
the
we
home.
discover certain things because of insurance or whatever, once we've started pulling things apart, it may then become a requirement that we make these changes. That's why I'm concerned about spending any money until the committee definitely gives us a direction. I mean, I understand their concern, but the whole premise was that we were not going to spend anything.
Then I'm going to ask, what I'm gathering from you is to ask Deputy Mayor Hedrick as the liaison from here to gather more information on what it is that the committee feels that they need, and if there's another way for us to accomplish that end.
Okay. I'll ask that on Monday.
Okay, thank you. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about is Connecticut Submarine Century. You should have each received an invitation to the unveiling, which is an invitation event that we're having, a by-invitation event to attend the unveiling of the Connecticut Submarine Trail submarines. And I also would like to make sure that you know that June 21st, which is a Tuesday from 4 to 7:30, the city of Groton will be hosting at Washington Park the Connecticut Submarine Century birthday party. This is sponsored by primarily by Foxwoods, but also by the Eastern Connecticut Association of Realtors, by ShopRite, by US Foods, and by the Rotary. So I hope you'll come out and be part of it. We do need volunteers, so if you have time to volunteer for that event, that would be great. And finally, I just want to say, of all the things I've gotten to do in the past week between budgets and arbitrations, since the last time we met, and SubCen, although I love working on SubCen, the most fun I had was being able to go on an aircraft carrier this week. Thanks to our friends from the Navy, I was invited to fly to Norfolk and then was flown out on one of those, on a carrier plane, out to the aircraft and went through that arrested landing, and then spent an overnight, spent bit more than 24 hours on the aircraft, and then was catapulted off. And it was very, very exciting, and although I was scared and trepidatious about the landing and the takeoff, it turned out to be a fabulous event, and I would really like to thank the Navy for that opportunity to experience Another side of the Navy. Norfolk has 7 bases. They're so much bigger than us. I can hardly tell you in words. This aircraft carrier alone had 5,000 people on it. And that's just one of many ships there. So it was a great opportunity to see another side of the Navy that we don't see here very often. It was really wonderful. So I'll end my report. Deb, did you have anything you wanted to report? Ron Uvas? Okay. We'll go on then to committee referrals. Are there any committee referrals? Seeing none. New business item, first new business item, Councilor Ilvento.
Thank you, Mayor. Resolution R-16-6-58, therefore be it resolved that the mayor and council approve the transfer of $20,598.60 to the tax collector suspense tax book. I so move.
Second.
So this is something that we do every year. These are uncollected taxes. They go into a tax suspense book, meaning that we don't anticipate receiving the revenue from these this year. However, they remain open and viable. They're still collectible. It's just not on this year's tax list. It's suspension because they haven't been collected yet. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining. Councilor Rusk.
Resolution R-16-6-59. Therefore, be it resolved that the mayor and council initially approve an amendment to ordinance number 215, an ordinance establishing parking regulation in the city of Groton. I so move.
Second.
This is as a result of the item that came from the Public Safety Committee that Councilor Garish brought to you at the Committee of the Whole. It is basically a change in the cost of parking tickets. So this was discussed at the Committee of the Whole. It is an ordinance, however, and will need to be read twice. So we'll read it once now and once at the first meeting in July, which I believe is July 5th. Because there's no meeting on the 4th of July. Are there any questions or comments on this item? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining. Deputy Mayor Hedrick.
Thank you. Resolution R-16-6-16. Therefore be it resolved that the City Council approve the reappointment of Constance Fusting, 855 Shanticosset Road, Groton, Connecticut, as a regular member of the Harbor Management Commission, term to expire on April 5th, 2020. I so move.
Second.
Are there any comments or questions? I'd like to thank Constance Fusting for once again serving, and of course to everyone who serves. We are able to do what we're able to do in the city because of wonderful volunteers. There are no comments. Yes.
I saw she's been on since April of 2013 and she's been participating, but as an alternate member. So now she's a regular member, or she's been a regular member. I wasn't sure when I was reading through the minutes.
She has been a regular member. She was moved up. It did not require council approval to move her from, I think, I'm trying to remember. There was a vacancy, and she went up to regular member, and I'm not sure exactly if I remember how that, was that just done by?
I believe that river management has the ability to fill.
That's right. Yep.
Okay.
Thank you. I'll have to ask Heidi at every meeting. So all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining. Councilor Sheffield.
Thank you, Mayor. Resolution R-16-6-61. Therefore, be it resolved that the mayor and council approve the City of Groton electric and water utility budgets for the fiscal year 2016-2017 pursuant to the City of Groton Charter, Article 9, Section 4A. I so move.
Second.
We do have Ron Goodrich here, as well as several members of the GU staff. If you have any questions, we did discuss this budget and had a presentation on it at the meeting of the Committee of the Whole. Are there any questions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining. Thank you. We'll go on to the next item, Councilor Heed.
Resolution 16-6-62, therefore be it resolved that the City Council declares 80 Nathan Hale Road and Lot 565 East Paul Revere Road, Groton, Connecticut as surplus to the needs of the city. I so move.
Second.
I did ask Barbara Goodrich, or Barbara volunteered, I should say, to be here tonight, because this would go next to the Planning and Zoning Commission for an 824 review. And Barbara, I wondered if you could just tell them a little bit about what that means.
The 8-24 review is a review required by state statute that any expenditure of city funds, either on purchase or sale or disposition, or any exchange of property, the construction of new roads, adding new utilities, et cetera, goes to them for review. And by that review, they take a look at the project and determine whether or not it's in keeping with our plan of conservation and development, which is a 10-year kind of guide to how the city grows from here. And for example, I guess if you were going to run a road through Washington Park, we might tell you that we do not recommend that. So the referral gets a positive, negative, or no response referral from the Planning and Zoning Commission. If it is a negative referral on the Planning and Zoning Commission, it takes a supermajority of the council to proceed with allocating funds for that particular project. That is the only thing it does. It's not an upvote or a downvote of the project itself.
And let me also emphasize that this is only a first step. This is not an agreement that we wish to sell the property. There are lots of things that are going to have to be considered. The original site plan will have to be looked at to see whether there was originally some agreement that there would be open space, because this is open space. And if there was, how that requirement is going to be met by the owners. What their use of the property is, whether it's for profit or whether it's for recreational or something that's not for profit for the organization. So there are lots of conditions and concepts that have to be explored before this would ever come back to you as a sale. There would have to be an appraisal of the property, etc. So there are steps that we would have to come. This is just saying that it's surplus to our needs. It doesn't mean that that there aren't other hurdles that would have to pass. Are there any comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining. Who are we up to? Councilor Garish.
Resolution R16-6-63, therefore be it resolved that the mayor and council authorize Groton Utilities Management to approve the market price power supply agreement by and between the City of Groton, Department of Utilities, and the Electric Boat Corporation as presented to the City of Groton Utility Commission, together with any such non-material modifications and amendments as the management and the city attorney shall deem appropriate, and that the Director of Utilities, Ronald A. Gadet, be authorized to execute the agreement. I so move.
Second.
We do have Ron Godet here with us tonight, who can speak generally about the purpose of a market agreement. And so, Ron, if you would like to speak to this item.
This is just a routine 5-year market-based agreement renewal for EV. It adjusts the pricing to current GU-based cost. That's basically what the agreement does. It renews August 1st for 5 years. So
with several of our larger companies, we have different types of agreements, and this would be an agreement with that company to provide power and the conditions for providing power. Yes, Councilor Garish.
Could you tell us if the price is more or less than it was last time?
It went up.
It went up, okay. Thank you.
Any questions? Any other questions for Ron? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining. We have a motion to go into executive session pursuant to General Statutes, Sections 1206A, to discuss appointment of personnel.
So moved.
Second.
And this would be to include Deputy Chief Galat and the candidate. Are we having a motion after this, Deputy Chief, or is that another night? Okay, so Deb, we will not be coming back with action. Okay, so we can move to C8. Or did we vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.